channel. So for today's episode will be quite special because my besties and I are going to collaborate together for this video. So guys, make sure to stay until the end because we have so many fun stories to tell, okay?
While scrolling through social media, I came across a post that immediately caught my attention. Many Malaysians were debating over a birthday caption written by a public figure, Dua Lipa. In the caption, a culturally sensitive expression was used when referring to her father. This quickly became the famous discussion among netizens. Some people considered the caption inappropriate due to the negative connotations associated with the expression in Malaysian society. Others argued that it was simply used as a term of endearment within a different cultural context. This made me realize that people often interpret the same message differently based on their cultural background, beliefs, and experiences. A word or expression that appears offensive in one culture may carry a completely different meaning in another. Without understanding the cultural context, misunderstandings can easily occur. This example highlights the importance of cultural awareness in communication. Understanding cultural differences helps us avoid misinterpretations and communicate more effectively with people with diverse backgrounds. Therefore, culture plays a significant role in shaping how messages are interpreted and how people interact with one another.
Hey guys, welcome back to another study blog with Farah. So right now I'm currently deep in assignment mode, but I need to share something that happened to me with you guys that I still cannot stop thinking about it. And since you guys are my friends, so why not, right? So a few days ago, me and my group were brainstorming idea for our presentation, and I shared one of mine. I explained it quite in detail, so I was actually feeling kind of proud of myself after saying it. Then one of my group members looked at me. Let's call her Nina. She said, that's interesting. And I was like, okay, wow. In my head, I took it as she likes it. So I left the discussion feeling super good about myself and super confident because my idea was actually solid this time. But a few days later, I found out she didn't fully agree with me. She was just being polite and did not want to directly reject my idea. And I just sat there and feeling like, wait, what? Because why are we speaking the same language, but I completely misunderstood the meaning behind it. I understood the words itself, but not the intention. So I guess to this lesson is sometimes communication is not about words, it's about what's not being said. Anyway, life goes on guys. Assignment don't submit themselves. See you guys in the next vlog. Bye bye.
Hi lovelies! Let's get ready with me while I'm telling you guys a low-key funny thing that just happened to me yesterday. Before I start, I'm sorry if there's any disturbing noise in the background as I'm currently at my hometown for So I'll be putting on concealer first. So guys, long story short, while I was strolling around alone in Kuala Lumpur, these tourists, I assume from Japan, came up to me and asked me, excuse me, train station where? And in my head, I was like, okay Tika, you studied English for years, just answer him. But then, suddenly my brain automatically adjusted to his English level. Instead of answer him normally, like you go straight and turn left when you see the traffic light, I answer him like this, go straight, you see the red lamp, go left. So the tourists looked confused as I was confused too. So I started to using hand gestures like I am the human Google Maps. So the tourist was like, oh, I see, thank you. So you see, sometimes communication is not always about perfect English. You can survive with confidence, hand gestures, and some random words. Alright, I'm done. So, what do you guys think about the story that I shared earlier?
Alarm mo ba yun? Nabisam Yari! Annyeong my night babes. Yep, we both can't sleep tonight, and that means another night, another episode. So tonight, we are going to watch everyone's online baby, Bentley! So cute!
아니잖아. 뭐라고 하라고 했지? 네 해야지.
Oh my god, wait, did you guys see that? That's so cute. The way he answered his dad.
뭐라고 해야 돼? 알았어? 어? 뭐? 아니잖아. 화냈을 때 뭐라고 하라고 했지? 네 해야지. 네. 알았어? 네 하라고 했잖아. 네.
Oh, nah. And do you guys know that just answering oh actually kinda disrespectful to your parents, and nah is actually more polite. Like, I know the subtitles here just translate them both as yes, but culturally it feels completely different. And the way he said it, his tone, and I mean, look at his face. He's a silly one. You can tell that they're really close with each other. Anyway, maybe I'm just over-analyzing a simple yes, but sometimes subtitles translate the meaning, but not really the culture behind it. You know. Did you guys hear that? Oh my god, my mom is calling. See you another night. Bye!
Hi guys! Oh my god, it's been so long. I'm so sorry, I've been a bit MIA. I've been a bit busy since I'm staying at my parents' house. Just catching up with family and also eating too much home cooked food. But anyway, while I was chilling today, I was scrolling through travel TikTok and I noticed something so interesting. I saw these two different creators. One was doing a vlog where they were actually interviewing locals and trying to navigate different beliefs and communication styles in real time. Then I saw another video that was purely comparing how different countries like Japan versus Brazil celebrate their New Year festival. At first I thought, oh, they're both just cultural videos, but they are actually totally different. One is about the interaction and the other is about the comparison. Want to know the tea? See you in the next vlog. Bye!
Hey guys, welcome back to my vlog. I'm sorry if the angle's a bit weird. I'm actually outside of my hotel right now. Me and my sister are waiting for a taxi because we're gonna go somewhere else. Anyway, the taxi is like taking forever, so I might just as well do a quick story time of what happened to me this morning. Beautiful weather, by the way. Okay, so as you guys know, today is our second day of our trip here in Italy, and we decided that instead of like having brunch in our hotel, we decided to eat at a nearby cafe. I ordered a latte and my sister ordered iced Americano. But when the waiters gave us our orders, I was actually so confused because she handed me a glass full of milk and I looked at her confused and I asked her, "Where's the coffee?" And then she looked at me and she said, "Miss, you ordered a latte." And I looked at her and I said, "Wait, isn't latte like coffee mixed with milk? Because back in my hometown, if you order a latte, obviously you're going to be expecting coffee with milk." And then she told me that in Italy, latte literally means milk. I was so disappointed in myself. Clearly it's my fault because I didn't do research, especially being in a foreign country. But it's okay guys, lesson learned. Please don't be like me, okay? Especially if you're visiting a foreign country. Anyways guys, my taxi is here. I'll talk to you guys soon. Maybe on our next vlog, I don't know. You'll see me when I upload. Anyways, bye guys.
Hi guys, so I'm back again and I've got a quick story time for you guys. Something that happened quite recently and I just thought it was interesting and I wanted to share it with you guys. So you guys know how I've been into gaming lately, right? The other day, I got into this random online lobby and got matched up with a squad from like 3 different countries. I think apart from me, there were people from Thailand, Canada, and somewhere in the Middle East. I don't really know, but the communication between us was disastrous. Like, I'm telling you, it was pretty bad. And it's not even a language barrier thing. Like, there was this one dude who was like very direct and blunt. I was like, dude, calm down. Chill, like it's not that serious. And then you have this other dude who was the complete opposite. He was very quiet and polite. I felt like talking to a toddler, as in like I needed to watch what I'm saying in case it was a bit much or something. After we lost a few times in a row, which was embarrassing by the way, we decided that we needed to pull ourselves together, so we stopped rushing. took a breath and we started adapting to each other, and we actually listened to each other properly this time, and we explained our call outs patiently, and I was surprised that we were actually able to somewhat communicate with each other and understand what we wanted to do. And by the end of it, we were finally able to win, which I am so proud of, honestly. But if you ask me, the coolest part about all this was probably the fact that we were able to bridge the communication gap between us. Anyway, that's it for the story time that I have for you guys. I'll see you in the next video. Bye!
Hi everyone, welcome back to the behind the scenes section. The example from the previous video shows how the same message can be interpreted differently depending on a person's cultural background. This highlights the importance of culture in communication. Today we will be discussing words and culture, including cultural awareness, communicative competence in cultural communication, and the relationship between language and culture. So, what is cultural awareness? Cultural awareness is the understanding that people from different cultures may have different values, beliefs, behaviors, and ways of communicating. So, it encourages to respect differences and avoid making assumptions based on our own perspectives. For example, direct communication may be seen as honest in some culture, while indirect communication may be considered more polite in others. Differences can also be seen in greetings, business space, and social interactions. Without cultural awareness, these differences can lead to misunderstandings. However, understanding cultural context helps us communicate more effectively and build positive relationships with people from diverse backgrounds. In today's globalized world, cultural awareness is an essential skill for successful communication.
Hey guys, welcome to the end of my vlog. So the story I shared earlier might seem like a small misunderstanding, right? But after learning my topic, I realized it's actually a really good example of how communication really works. Before this, I always thought that if two people spoke the same language, there shouldn't be any communication problems. Like if we are both speaking English, we will automatically understand each other, right? Apparently, that's not the case. One thing I learned is that culture is not just about food, clothing, or festival. It can also be about how people make meaning through language. Basically, people in the same social group often develop similar ways of interpreting words, expression, and situation because they share the same communication habits. That is why my friend and I could hear the exact same phrase, which is "that's interesting," but we understand it differently. I thought it was a compliment, but she actually meant as a polite way of disagreeing or rejecting an idea. And honestly, that made me realize that communication is not just about words. It's also about the context, tone, and what is being implied but not directly said. Another concept I learned today is that cognitive competence sounds hard, right? And it sounds so academic, but it's actually quite simple. So let me share. It means being good at a language is not only about a grammar or vocabulary, but also knowing how to use language appropriately in different situations. So in a simple words, like the way I talk to my best friend is very different from how I will talk with my lecturer. Same language, but different expectations, tone, and level of formality. And we don't really learn this in a formal way, guys. We pick it up naturally through experience and interaction with other people. So the more I reflect on this, the more I realize we are not just learning a language, we are also learning a culture of communication. And that is why misunderstanding can still happen even when everyone is speaking English. Because understanding the language is one thing, but understanding the intention behind it is a completely different story. Anyway, that's all from me. Thanks for watching, and I hope you guys learned something new. See you guys in the next video.
Hello lovelies, I just finished my class. Now I'm going to explain the situation I just had yesterday based on the 4 components of communicative competence. First is grammatical competence. This refers to the knowledge of vocabulary, pronunciation, grammar, and sentence structure. In the situation, I actually knew the correct English words and grammar, but I simplified my language so the tourists could understand more easily. Second is discourse competence. For example, I give the directions in order, like going straight first, then turning left, so the conversation stayed clear and understandable. Third is social linguistic competence. This refers to understanding social context, roles, and appropriate language we use depending on the situation. In the situation that I had, I adjusted the way I spoke because I realized the tourist was not fluent in English. So I used simpler language to communicate politely and effectively. Lastly is strategic competence. This refers to verbal and non-verbal communication strategies used when communication breaks down. For example, I use hand gestures, repeated important words, the McDonald's, simplified my sentences to help the tourists understand the directions. So overall, communicative competence is not only about speaking grammatically correct English. It is also about knowing how to adapt communication effectively depending on the situation and the person we are speaking to. Alright, hope you guys understand. I'm going back to my hostel. Bye!
Morning, my night old babes. Okay, this is just a random videos, but I still can't forget about the oh, there from our Bentley. He's so cute. Oh my god, is that an bag? Never mind. So like yesterday, the way he answered with "oh" instead of "nah" seems like super small to all of us because both means yes, but somehow it's already tells us a lot about their relationship. And I think that's why language is actually so connected to culture. Because people don't just use language to communicate information. Sometimes the way they speak also shows respect, emotions, and the kind of relationship they have with that someone. Like in that scene yesterday, I could immediately feel that he's so comfortable with his dad just from the way he's responding. You can see his face. And I find that really interesting because culture isn't always shown in big things only. Sometimes it's hidden in everyday interactions. Maybe that's why watching show from different countries is actually so fun to me. Because one tiny word can carry so much meaning depending on the situation, tone, relationship between people. Like subtitles may translate the word correctly, but sometimes they can't fully translate the feeling or cultural meaning behind it. Maybe this is what happens when you watch too many shows and start analyzing every interaction at 2 a.m. But you guys get what I mean, right? It's so interesting. I think that's it. See you another night.
I'm back. Okay, let's get into details because this is actually super useful for when we travel or meet new people. That first video where the creator was actually talking to people that is intercultural communication, ICC. According to our sources, ICC refers to the direct interaction between individuals from different cultural backgrounds. It's all about mutual understanding and dialogue in real time. There's actually a cool formula for this by Allwood. Culture plus communication equal to intercultural communication. Is basically sharing information between people who have different national or cultural backgrounds. Think of it like a language exchange program where you're talking to a native speaker, or even an intercultural marriage where a couple blends different values every day. Now, the second video, the one comparing traditions, that was cross-cultural communication, CCC. Instead of focusing on people talking, CCC involves comparing and contrasting the styles, norms, and practice of different cultures.
It's more of a comparative study to find general patterns across cultures. This is what researchers use in cross-cultural psychology to see how our mind works differently or what managers use to create global strategies that works for teams all over the world. So, remember the difference. ICC is about the interaction and CCC is about the comparison. In our globalized world, we need both to collaborate effectively and avoid those awkward misunderstandings. Anyway, that's my brainy moment for the day. I've got to go help with my mom with dinner now. But let me know in the comments if you ever have a major ICC moment. Love you guys. Bye.
And that, my friends, is a classic textbook example of culture shock and a total breakdown in communicative behavior. According to CUPSA 2018, it's that sudden unpleasant discomfort you feel when cultural diversity hits you. And it can really impact your identity because your normal suddenly doesn't work anymore. It turns out in Italy, latte literally just means milk. I use my own cultural expectations, but our worldviews completely clashed. These misunderstandings happen constantly. Jens Allwood 1976 pointed out that when different cultures meet, every single difference can lead to a misunderstanding. It's not just words, it's communication patterns like tone and loudness. If someone speaks loudly and directly, a person from a softer culture might feel shock and think they're angry, even if they're just being friendly. So what can we do? We can't just stay in our comfort zones. We need models that analyze these behaviors and their influences so we can build actual bridges between our communities.
Alright guys, we've heard from the rest of the squad about how culture shapes us, how language connects us, and honestly how easy it is to experience total culture shock when things get lost in translation. But how do we actually fix this? How do we become absolute pros in navigating these differences? Well, that's where intercultural communicative competence models come in. Think of these models as the ultimate blueprint or a level-up guide. They basically map out how we can shift our attitudes from just being aware of a culture to actually adapting our skills so we can vibe and collaborate with anyone, anywhere, without the awkward misunderstandings. When you look at everything that's been broken down, it all leads to one major conclusion. Communication isn't just about the words coming out of your mouth or passing a grammar test. It's a package deal. It starts with the cultural awareness we mentioned at the beginning, understanding the deep relationship between language and culture, realizing how easily culture shock can happen, and using these ICC models to actively bridge the gap. It's about empathy, flexibility, and being willing to step out of your comfort zone. At the end of the day, whether you're traveling the world, working in a global company, or just jumping into an international gaming lobby like I did, intercultural competence is the most important life skill you can have in 2026. That will be all from our group. Thanks for watching and have a nice day.